Go to university, get a degree, and you will get all the things you want in life. You will have money and all the opportunities to be successful and therefore happy. That was all people around me kept telling me when I was still in high school. And while I was bombarded by all kinds of advice, I was aware I didn't have the money to go to an Ivy League university or even a second grade one. Community college was the only affordable option left for me. But yet again, I knew that going to a lower-graded college would grant me little chance to succeed. My mother had worked 2 jobs and even 3 jobs at times to make ends meet. Her life had been a struggle from one end to another, and I just couldn't dare to ask her for the money. My heart knew she had done everything in her power already, and now it was up to me to find a way. I wanted to make her proud of me, regardless of the costs and risks, while I kept dreaming I could still achieve something in life, to become someone. The American dream was lurking in the back of my head, with all the success stories and happy endings, with people who had found happiness by following dreams and passions. With 2 empty pockets and 1,000 dreams in my head, I turned my eyes to the only institutions that could facilitate the dreams of a poor kid, the banks. So many kids were taking student loans that trillions upon trillion accumulated in debt that spanned over decades. I thought little about what followed after university was over, since all I could dream of was to get there, step on those marble floors, and sip every drop of knowledge that was bound to change my life eventually. The bank's warm embrace when I first went to ask for a college loan felt alluring in a way, because those people appeared like they were seeking my best interest. No questions asked despite me not having any kind of income. It truly felt like heaven, one that would take your mind away from the true costs of such a deal. My hand flew with the pen over those endless papers until the loan was approved. I didn't see a dime in my hands, but this allowed me to afford the costs of classes, plus accommodation and other materials. 4 years felt like a minute, and for a moment, I was truly happy for taking that student loan. University years were truly magical, maybe the best period of a person's life. I studied hard, aware that once my studying years were over, I had to get a job that was supposed to allow me to live and pay the loan at the same time. Graduation was a true celebration, with champagne and beautiful speeches, but then it was all over. A veil of darkness fell over my life as the first invoice arrived in the mailbox. I was supposed to pay $476, yet I still had no income and no money in my pockets. Imagine a broke kid trying to make it through life with no job and a mother who was getting sicker and sicker by the day, after a lifelong of odd, back-breaking jobs just so she can put some food on the table. With debts piling up on all sides and a credit card that was starting to haunt me already, it was clear I needed to do something about it. The truth is, I had that credit card debt because the principal student debt was not covering additional costs such as food and clothing. I didn't live a lavish life and only bought clothes and shoes when I really needed them, like when my toes were coming out through the torn-off fabric. The food was always at a minimum, and I only bought the cheapest things. Ask a poor student like me about mac and cheese, and they will tell you they had nightmares about it. A bitter wake-up call. It was clear I needed to get a job and I needed to get it fast, to pay for my student loan debts and to take care of my ill mother. The $50,000 in debt were haunting me in my dreams already because I knew this was only the principal. Then the interest would add soon to turn my life into mayhem. For that reason, I wasn't picky at all where it came to landing a job. I had studied civil engineering, thinking I could help society build real things, unlike other students who lost their time with gender studies and God knows what else. My real passion was history, yet I compromised knowing I had to feed myself one day, thus I went for the practical choice. The first interview came with the first disappointment, and in a rather short time, I dressed nicely, prepared my speech and my diplomas, and went to a local building company that was specialized in road building, bridges, and other similar types of construction. My heart was pounding in my chest as I approached their building. My hands were shaking while beads of sweat trickled down my body from head to toe. Still, I was confident I could make a good impression that would land me that job. My grades had been excellent, and I had studied hard to know all the important details, so they would not catch me off guard. I figured my youth and desire to work hard would be an asset, but after a short conversation with the human resources manager, I was struck with a question meant to kill all dreams in their infancy. So, how much experience do you have in the field? My heart froze in my chest as well as my eyes, while my breath had stopped mid-throat with a gulp. Well, I have graduated half a year ago, and I didn't get to This is the first interview I was accepted to thus far." The man's twisted grimace gave me the shivers up and down my spine, making me understand that I would not land that job. I was still broke and fearful at this point, and I waited with my heart the size of a pea to hear what those people were going to say. A few moments later, the answer came and it was not the one I wanted. "We're sorry, but at the moment we need experienced people and—" That's where things broke for me and I could not hear any more words. I felt heartbroken and simply excused myself and left their interviewing office. I felt like the last human being in this world because I had studied so hard. Now I was rejected for the pettiest reasons. I was willing to work harder than anyone else in this world, yet I was denied the chance to prove my willingness and desire to prove my worth. When I finally reached home, my mom met me with her usual tired face. I didn't have the guts to tell her about my failed attempt. Therefore, I decided to head straight to my room without telling her anything. My mother knew me better than I even knew myself. Therefore, she saw the sorrow written all over my face as I tried to avoid her. "Adam, are you all right?" My feet stopped walking in the middle of the staircase, but I didn't dare turn my head towards her and tell her that I had failed to land that job. A violent gulp cut my breath in half while cold beads of sweat trickled down my tense forehead. "Yes, Mother," I muttered with a feeble voice, but even I didn't believe the words coming out of my mouth. Eventually, I mustered the courage to look her in the eyes. Her weary face after years of hard work and advancing illness crushed my heart as I was starting to blame my own impotence. I knew how much she had sacrificed after my father left us without caring, and now I wanted to return the service. It hurt me like hell to know I wasn't able to do so I just turned around and left to my room. My stomach was growling at this point, but I chose to ignore the hunger and all its effects, as something even bitter and more urgent was haunting my mind. Just like a ghost from time immemorial, my lack of success in getting a job was falling all over my shoulders with utter viciousness. Reoccurring nightmares at night would break my sleep to pieces until I woke up in the morning even more tired. Sleep time had become something of a backbreaker for me, and I would hate the hours when my body was forcing me to close my eyes due to extreme fatigue. Hours upon hours spent on the web searching for a job had become something of a habit for me, unfortunately with little success. Eventually, I managed to get into another interview, therefore I prepared as always, eager to prove my willingness to work hard and prove to those people that I would be an asset to their company. Again, I was aiming for an engineering job because I considered this to be the choice to flesh out my knowledge. By this time, I had lost some of my initial enthusiasm, as the memory of my first experience was still lingering in the back of my head. Now, I just waited to find out what fate would bring to my path, and I was right to be reserved. Because within the first moments of the interview, I was told there was no true engineering job for me. The lovely lady sitting in front of me portrayed this lovely smile that was meant to probably soothe some of the pain I would soon feel. "Mr. Adam, the truth is we don't have an engineering position available right now, as we have people with more experience hired already, but—" "Ah, that damn experience!" a voice yelled inside of my head, but I didn't dare to let it out. I was screaming my own bitterness in perfect silence with crushing force over my heart that felt like it could barely beat in my chest right now. How the hell could I get a job if everyone was asking for that experience? The people from these companies were looking all like madmen to me, clueless of what the world looked like. I had barely graduated, thus it was natural for me to have no experience. Yet I was eager to get some if only they would give me a chance to work. My face turned gray suddenly as I expected the ruthless sentence. "We could grant you an internship of 6 months as a base worker." Oh yes, our beloved internship, where one is supposed to work with no pay, only to get that blessed experience everyone was asking for. I couldn't accept this offer even if I wanted to. Work meant clothes, shoes, food, money, things I didn't have at that time. "I'm sorry, but I muttered with a bitter voice and could see her shrug even before I could finish my words. For that reason, I didn't even finish them. I was too disappointed, and I felt cheated by a rigged system meant to keep people down despite their titanic efforts to make it in this world. I left their office a heartbroken man, confused and scared of the future, because it was clear that nothing I did could help me. It felt like the whole world was playing against me at this point, as if I had been cursed at birth for a reason that was still a mystery to me. Another idiotic argument I kept hearing was the following: "We're sorry, but you're overqualified for the job." I could never wrap my head around this stupid concept, as if studying hard and being good at something was detrimental to me. The world itself was turned upside down. and I was trapped now to a dark side that was bound to turn me to ashes. The only thing I could think of as I left home that day from the interview was that money was running low, and my mom's health condition was worsening at the same time. I knew her illness was aggravated by my own lack of success because she wanted me to have a better life, one where I wouldn't have to struggle to make ends meet. Growing up, I felt the struggle on my skin, and I had sworn an oath that I would one day end that wretched karma that had haunted my family for years and years. I was truly convinced I had that power to change things, to aspire to that American dream we all praise so much. But the more I struggled, the more I realized the dream was nothing but a gruesome nightmare. Eventually, I dropped off all pride and ego and went for an interview at a local restaurant to try for a job as a waiter or whatever they could offer me. I was aware this kind of job was below me, but I had neither the energy nor the trust to hope for anything more. As I arrived for the interview, I felt truly broken, just like a man after weeks of torture. My eyes had lost their sparkle a long time back, and I thought it couldn't get any worse, yet my life was soon to turn into a freak show. Experience? Was the first question that I met with a shrug. I explained to them about my engineering degree, but all my words passed by deaf ears, and it was clear I was in for a shock. Well, Mr. Adam, the best thing I can offer you since you lack any kind of experience is $2.35 an hour plus tips. It depends on, how much you want to earn. That $2.35 rang in my head like a bell with a deafening echo, and the only thing I could think of was that I was living a nightmare. This was a third world country wage offered in the greatest country in the world, and with a smile on their face as if they were doing me a favor. My heart froze in my chest as I was thinking of an answer. My mind felt ashamed as I was struggling to cope with this utter degradation. Am I a slave and I don't know about it? I kept asking myself, but no answer came back.